Hello and welcome to Mycin Logistics for Events. This session we'll be talking about on-site logistics and production.
It is important to understand how logistics works during the event.
Here are the session's objectives. As a reminder, here we are within the timeline of events. The on-site logistics of an event may vary significantly and become more complex the larger the event.
The flow of materials and people are the most important areas of on-site logistics.
But what do you mean by flow?
Well, it is the movement of speakers, audience, volunteers and equipment, and it can take a large part of the time and effort of the logistics team, especially when the site is complex or multi-venue, or even when there are a lot of guests.
Oh, so is that true that once the items are on site, it then becomes the logistics manager or the events manager's responsibility to position, move and operate these items?
Yes, it is, and let's look at this in detail. There are 6 main areas involved.
Here are the areas. The first part that we're looking at is the flow of artist, audience and equipment.
An important part of flow is to have access. Access to roads, access to emergency exits, access to first aids, access to supplies to remove and bring in consumables.
A good system needs to be in place in order to maintain this control of flow.
Could you give me some kinds of systems that we could use?
This movement of people could be controlled by using wristbands or maybe badges or even giving a clearance to certain areas of the site. We must also always remember to have access for people with disability and also security and emergencies.
One must consider also the flow of the artists from the transportation area to the rehearsal rooms or to the dressing areas. It is important to understand that these entrances have to be secure and protected, and they're usually different.
The flow of equipment is also very important to consider because they might be too large or very fragile.
And last but not least,
the flow of consumables and F&B and waste removal.
And remember that this is all done whilst the audience is enjoying the event. Next, communications. How do we communicate in small events?
Small events you can use, for example, cell phones, microphones, or just a loudspeaker.
But what about large events?
Oh, a large event, you need a whole set of communications, which we'll be looking in the next slide. Here is a list of communication systems. Make sure you understand all of them. For example, what is a runner? What is a news sheet? And AVQs, do you happen to know what that is?
Signage is an essential tool during the event. It will give information, for example, with the event program. A good way of making sure that your signage is correct is to walk through the event yourself and see if you can find everything you need to find.
Here is an example of an important facility to find in an event.
So depending on the type of event, the signage will be different. But Mr. Costa, what makes a good sign?
Oh, a good sign, you need to consider the site placement, for example, the types of signs needed.
Oh, does that mean, for example, if it's a directional sign or if it's a warning sign or maybe even a sponsor sign?
Exactly. And also we need to consider literacy of signage.
Is that to do with if you can read it or not and what language you're using?
Yes. And what about placement?
Well, of course, yes, you need to have something that is at a high place so that you can see it properly.
Yes, accessibility is also important because they need to be able to read it from any height they are.
Oh, I just remembered something. The orientation of the sign. When they are looking directly at the sign, does it lead them to the correct way?
Yeah. What about maintenance of the signs?
Of course, what happens if the sign breaks down? Are we going to be able to replace them quickly?
Yes, that will all give a very good credibility to the event.
Yes, very important. Thank you, Mr. Costa. Now let's look at the amenities.
Amenities is normally just laid out in a map.
And remember, these amenities need to have scheduled maintenance and cleaning.
Look at this example of a stage layout and see how it's important to know where everything stands. Event layout use floor plans and sitting plans.
Here's some of the things that you could find in a floor plan. We have to deal with consumables during the event too.
For example, where are we going to store and distribute all the F&B?
Before the event starts, it's very important that the logistics manager knows exactly what stand will need what kind of facility, for example, electricity, plumbing, so that during the event these consumables can be done correctly.
In addition, we are also responsible for the backstage.
The fifth part for on-site logistics is VIP and media requirements.
As a logistics manager, you may not be dealing directly with the VIP and media. However, you are responsible for their accessibility to the site.
Even though they may be difficult to deal with, they are important because they bring you promotion and financial support.
The final part of on-site logistics is emergency procedures.
Large events require emergency access roads to be kept clear. All event staff must be aware of these locations. Large events have emergency plans for possible disasters so that evacuation can be done correctly. Here are the references.
And thank you for listening to Mr. Costa and Mr. Taffin.